Today we're going to be changing the oil in a 1999 Toyota Tacoma. This is the V6 3.4 liter, and we're going to walk through those steps right now. First thing you'll need is 6 quarts of your favorite oil. I'm using 5W30 Full Send Mobil 1. This truck's been running it's been running synthetic oil since about 30,000 miles were on the engine or so, from what I've been told. And I like Mobil 1. You'll need a good quality oil filter, and you'll need a socket wrench, an extension. In my case, you won't need it, but typically you will, and a 14mm socket. Of course, you'll want the drain pan, and the truck's pretty high, so you don't necessarily need jack stands, but I have them there just to make it easier to get the camera in there so you can see what it is I'm doing. Typically we have a skid plate here. I've got mine off. I'm in the process of sanding them down and repainting them, so I thought I would change the oil. You can see the pan right there is typically hidden by the skid plate. You'll need a 6-inch extension right here, typically to reach up through the access hole in the skid plate to reach that oil drain plug. But since we don't have our skid plates on there, we can just use a 14mm socket. Make sure you have your drain pan in place and release that. It's also always good to have your engine a little warm when you change the oil. And then we'll drop that drain plug and let the oil flow. One tip when draining your oil is if you remove your oil filler cap, then there's a good chance your oil will flow more freely, allowing air to exit the system as the oil is draining out the bottom hole. Once we have the oil drained out, we will remove the filter, the oil filter. To access the oil filter, you'll simply move right and up, right behind the radiator, and you'll see the oil filter right there. The easiest thing to do is just to reach in with your hand and loosen it. Also, make sure that your drain pan is in a place to catch most of the oil, as it will run out when the filter is removed. Alright, let's get set. Okay, first we'll remove the drain plug. I've already broke it loose because I'm using one hand. So once it's loose, you can simply use your fingers. Now the oil may be a little warm coming out of here, so we'll want to be careful with that. Otherwise, just get ready for a little bit of oil splash. I like to hold upward pressure on the plug until I can feel that it's about to come out. And then what I do is actually make sure that my little filler cap is in the oil drain so my nut doesn't fall in. I mean my oil plug. And then I'll just let it fall right in there like that. Get a little bit on your hands that way, but hardly any splashes out, as you can see. So let that drain fully, and then we'll remove the filter. Okay, you can see our oil is down to a trickle here. So what we're going to do now, you have to pardon my voice. I barely have my voice right now, but we're going to remove that oil filter. Back out of view here so you can see exactly where I'm at. You can see the radiator is right there to the upper left, and the coilover shock and tire and wheel assembly is to the right. So we're basically just reaching up right through that hole right there between the frame and the radiator, and we're going to reach in there. We'll try to get it on camera for you with our hand. In there, but hopefully you can see right now. I don't know, and we'll loosen that filter. It wasn't very tight actually, which is good. They should be hand tight. I only backed it out a little ways so I could see where the oil was going to drain through. The oil will find a way to follow down through the engine and just simply drain into the pan. I like to back mine off a little ways without removing it all the way, just to let some of the oil kind of come out and without making a huge mess. I'm trying to get this here. I'm just reaching through and hand loosening the oil filter. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I made a little bit of a mess. Alright. You can see my jack stand was actually in the way a little bit. Been ideal to move the pan over a little bit more, but alright. Once you get the hey buddy, once you get the oil filter removed, first thing you want to check is to make sure that that gasket around that oil filter came off with it. And I'm talking about this rubber piece right here. I'm going to make sure you get that on your old filter when you remove it, because if it sticks to the side of the engine and then you put your new one on there, you're not going to be able to screw the new filter on tight enough to keep it from leaking. So next we will put on the new filter, put in our drain plug, and start filling it with oil. Another tip for you. I don't know, my dad always taught me when I was changing the oil when I was a kid, is to put a little oil on the new seal, the gasket on the new filter. Not too much, just a little bit. That way, I guess it makes a good seal to the engine surface. Actually, I don't know why. I'm just doing what I was told. But anyway, that's a tip I've always taken from my father. Maybe you'll want to use it too. There's a good look at exactly what it looks like where your filter goes in to the side of the engine. Now I'm going to try to put that on there with you watching, actually. We will see if I can do that and hold this camera and also get this filter in there. I apologize for the shakiness of the video. It's important to not cross thread. See how easily that's spinning on? That tells me that it's not cross threaded. Now, we don't want to put a wrench to this filter. It should simply be hand tight. What I like to do is get it as tight as I can on my fingers now, and then I will move this camera, get my whole hand on it, and give it a good half turn. Not quite a half turn. And that's good enough. That will hold. We don't want to forget to put our drain plug back in. Very important not to cross thread it. If you use electric or power tools, at least start it with your hand. And don't over torque it either. This is a common place for a leak. I'm sure there's a torque spec for that, but it's just nice and tight is the way I like to do it. I don't know. You can look up torque values, obviously, but I've been changing oil a long time, and I've never really done anything more than what I felt like was proper tight. This is nearly impossible to do with one hand holding a camera and trying to fill the engine with oil without making a mess. So I'm just showing you, I've got a filter in there which I'll hold with my left hand, and then I'll pour 5 quarts of oil in there from the Mobil 1 Full Send 5W30. And with that, 5.5, actually I put 5 3/4, so about 5.7 quarts of oil in there. And what we'll do next is get the truck off the jack stands, put down some kitty litter for our oil spill, clean that up. Then we'll run the truck down the road, come back, just do a visible check for any kind of leaks around the drain plug and where the oil filter is. It's kind of hard to see, but we'll do that anyway. And that's it. That's all there is to changing oil on the 3.4 liter V6 at Tacoma. So if you have any questions, hit me up below. I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Bye.